What you're about to watch is a special private training session for people who bought a copy of my book, Built to Serve. Enjoy. Every week we look at a new topic and then we brainstorm and chat and like whatever you need help on. So this week's topic was Maria, who picked niche, picking one and staying with it, how to narrow when and if to include another niche. Well, since we have Maria here, why don't we workshop this a little bit? What's on your mind, Maria? Where's this coming from?
Thank you, Evan. And thank you so much I'm just blown away with your generosity with the challenge. And anyway, thank you. So I've been, I've shifted my niche a few times over the years because I address women that struggle in their relationship to food, weight, and body image, but it's typically the tip of the iceberg and usually the deeper blocks, the emotional blocks, sometimes trauma, sometimes stress management, sometimes that's where you have to go to have long-term healing. And so I market to that particular population, but I work with people that struggle with anxiety, and because that's usually the next layer, right? People are medicating with food. It's a lot of times they're medicating their anxiety one of the things, I just watched your interview with Melanie because I am a emotional freedom techniques master practitioner, and that's one of the techniques that I actually use. One of them that help people to have more peace with their emotional body. So my question is, do I just stick to this niche or do I broaden it? Like when is the time to do that? Or do I just keep doing what I'm doing? And because for instance, I'll work with someone and then she'll send me her husband because her husband has anxiety issues, So I don't know if that's clear.
No. I mean, they're great. And I think everybody kind of struggles with forms of this at some point when they're figuring out their content and their audience. What you need to think about is so in looking at your titles for the Movement Makers Challenge that we're going through right now, all your titles came back to helping women, right? Like everything said women, which is fine. So, I'll believe in anybody. If you sent me somebody or I'm talking to somebody who's an employee and never wants to be an entrepreneur, I'll still have the conversation and help them. It's just not really what I want to be doing. It's like, it's not at the core of what I love the most because I love serving entrepreneurs more. So it doesn't mean that, hey, because you're a man, I'm not going to talk to you, but if you love serving women, then you focus on that audience first. Inside of that, you get to pick. Is it really mental health stuff that you love caring about? Is it really the weight loss journey? Because that leads to the mental health stuff. Like who do you love helping the most? Like if you had to pick, we all love serving. We all love helping. If we see somebody fall on the street, we're going to go and help them up. I hope readers, Built to Serve readers. Okay. You see somebody fall on the street, you go help them up. But that's not like what we want to, be spending our days doing. It's just, we see somebody in need and we do what we can to support. Right now, the whole thing in Ukraine, like my main video editor, she's Ukrainian and she left she left like 5 years ago from Ukraine to go to Montenegro and, because of war and potential war and all that. So she's safe, but her family is in the Ukraine. And we've been spending the past time kind of figuring out, hey, how can I help? I mean, I'm in Canada. Like, do they need money? Like, is your family safe? Can they fly out of the country? Can they get somewhere where they need to go? I don't speak the language or have any connections, but if money is a problem to get people what they need, like, let me know. And I'm helping with that, but it's not what I want. My mission isn't going into war-torn countries and helping people escape, right? So we do what we can to serve the people who are around us. But like, who would you spend or love spending the most time with? It's like just absolutely feeds your soul. Who are they and what are they struggling with? And the challenge of the Movement Makers thing we're going through right now is to try to get it more specific so that when you're making the content, it's not just how to fix your anxiety, which is great, but specific to like, who are the people who you love helping the most? So in that context, who would you love helping like the most? Yeah.
So my word is care. And my mission really is, I feel passionate about this, is to help women to get beyond the struggles that undermine them so that they can stand in their life and be their best self and serve in the way that they've been called to serve. Because I feel like the advancement of women, and we in this country, we have more freedom than many women on the planet, and yet we're emotionally oppressed by body image issues and weight issues, and all that chips away at us being our best self. So I feel passionate about that, and also my story is about that. I've come from multiple eating disorders, and I've worked in. So I'm on the other side of that now, and I feel like my purpose is my passion. I mean, my pain has been my passion. So yes, that gives me greatest pleasure when I have clients that are, getting beyond the dieting stuff and really looking, living a freer life, and they're finding their purpose beyond that, and not teaching their little daughters to be over concerned about diet and weight, but that these girls can come into the world with more empowered about who they are as a person, not necessarily how they look. So I mean, that's part of it.
Yeah. I mean, I love that so you have your niche women, which is awesome. Now that's like half of the population. So we've narrowed it down a little bit, but getting a little more specific to then the next step and the problem that they're facing is helpful, because if you only said women who aren't living their best lives, that's everybody. That's every woman. That's every man too, by the way, stepping into their potential or whatever. So it's very broad, which is the long-term mission. But then inside of that, who do you love helping the most? And whether it relates to food or not, that's the discussion to start to figure out. It's like, hey, we can start to build this niche and then expand from there. But inside of that, like, who do you love helping the most? Like, do you love helping teenage girls get over a crush that broke their heart on prom night? Do you love helping, a woman who might have lost her mom yesterday to cancer? Like, there's so many issues that we will face. And so it's great to target women, but then what are they struggling with the most that you love helping them through? And then that becomes most of the content that you start with, so you can start building your tribe around it.
Yeah. So
does something like come to mind, or is it just more like thinking?
Well, it is women that are caught in struggling with weight, thinking they need a diet that's going to fix them, because it's really an inside job, right? And so I get great like, for instance, I've been working with a new client recently, and after a couple of weeks, she's come to the realization that it's really not about her weight, her unhappiness, and that's gives me great gratification and satisfaction. Yes, she wants to still be healthy and treat her body with respect, but giving up the struggle and learning to trust herself more that's what gives me great gratification, that she's really feeling more of caring enough about herself that she is willing to have healthier boundaries with her husband, and rather than focusing on the body image and all of that, getting beyond that. Is that clear?
Yeah, I think that's great. Like, behind everybody here, you want to have an impact, and we all have a message to serve other people. These strategies alone are not going to be enough. Like, just telling somebody, here's what you do, here's the foods to eat. If I could just tell somebody, hey, make these videos, go, that's not enough, because there's emotional resistances to everything. So you could tell somebody to eat this food, but there's a reason why they're abusing the food in the first place. All of us have blocks that prevent us from doing the next thing. And so understanding that really helps. So women you're helping, they're stressed out, or they have anxiety, they have body issues. And some of them, the ones who you'll like helping the most, they feed their anxiety and stress with food. Others might do it through drugs. Others might do it
or relationships,
or they cut themselves, or they, like, and so that's where, like, well, do you want to help those women too? If somebody's saying, like, I've tried to kill myself 4 times because I hate my body. And like, maybe you don't turn that person away, but it's not like the core of what you want to deal with, because it's not the same path that you went through. Right. So if women, great, awesome. Plus anxiety, stress, self-confidence issues, great. That's going to be everybody. But how do they fix though? How are they getting their fix off? Is through food.
Yeah.
And so you're still addressing the underlying thing, but also helping them solve the connection to getting their fix with food. Right. So it's like food, but you're not just going to teach diet plans.
No.
You're going to teach them techniques underneath.
And it's not that those techniques, really.
Of course. But it's not just that those techniques only work through food. It could also apply to people who are cutting themselves or for men too, who are doing these. It's just not as much of a connection to you because you haven't gone through those things.
Yeah. Well, I've gone through other addictive behaviors and because really my understanding, if you just transfer one addiction to another, the expression is you're changing seats on the Titanic. Mm-hmm. I mean, you're not addressing the underlying, you're still going down, right? And years ago, when I worked in an eating disorder unit, by the time people got there, they had gone through drug addiction and gambling addiction. And so all of that stuff is relevant. And yes, though, as I work with people, for instance, I'll work with somebody who's a food issue, and then all of a sudden, after a couple of weeks, they feel safe enough with me to reveal that they drink a bottle of wine every night. And so, as we uncover the core reasons, so it's on the onset, I tracked people, and sometimes people don't well, I guess it has more to do with rapport and intimacy and trust. As they get to know me and they feel safe with me, then they reveal more about who they are.
And also knowing if you've been through the thing that they're going through, because you can make the connection between addictive behaviors, but other people may not, right? So like, have you ever lost your home because of a gambling problem?
Well, my father was a compulsive gambler, and we lost many homes.
So that speaks to like family. So my family member's doing this, but have you ever done it?
Have I lost a home? I haven't lost a home, but I've lost a lot. I don't have a gambling issue.
Great. But
I have an issue with supporting men because that came out of that dynamic that my mother, I've had in my history. I don't do that today, but in my history, I've supported men and given them a lot of money.
Great.
I'm a little ashamed of even saying that, but it was because of the dynamics of the gambling, so that was a problem.
Listen, you're in a safe space, and thank you for having the courage to share that with us if you haven't told other people before. But these are things that you can speak to, right? It's not that if somebody has their own gambling problem, you won't help them, but it's not you. You didn't go and lose your home. But if somebody came and said, my father has a gambling, or my mother or somebody in my family has a gambling addiction, or I keep supporting people for some reason. Why do I keep supporting these men who have gambling problems? What is wrong with me? Like that person you would love helping so much more than I have a gambling problem, because it's more through your experience of what you've lived. Like if somebody came to you and said, I keep supporting men who have gambling problems, what's wrong with me? And then you help them realize there's nothing wrong with you. Right. And you teach them to actually love herself and just get out of these negative relationships. That's going to make you feel amazing.
Yes.
So hopefully, we're spending a lot of time on this, but hopefully everybody can see that kind of similar journey for your own self. The thing that you have been through where you felt hopeless, worthless, like when your dad did that and you lost your home, or you gave money and just how terrible, like it made you feel terrible about yourself. And if you then subsidize through foods, like, okay, well, I'm just going to go eat that pizza or Doritos or whatever, just to make me feel good because I don't have any happiness in my life anywhere, right? Like this is where people get really stuck. So that's your niche. The people who are currently struggling with the thing that you struggled through. And it doesn't mean we ignore everybody else and we can't help them and we're going to turn them away, but it's not who we're actively trying to go out and serve. Because if you just go out and say, ladies, have more self-confidence, it becomes too broad a message, but then we end up trying to serve everybody and ends up serving very few people.
Yeah.
Does that help?
Yes, it's very helpful. I have one more. So the other thing is that one of the modalities that I do use is tapping. And I really love the conversation you had with Melanie, because it's not the only thing I use. But a lot of my YouTube videos have been focused on that, because there's a whole niche of people but I use the tapping specific to that weight, body image. And
so like who, why, how, right? From Built to Serve. That's the how. The how matters less about what the how is and matters more that you believe in the how.
Mm-hmm.
Like if somebody sees you and say, I'm in the same situation as Maria, I've been overeating to combat my stress because of whatever happened in my life. And you're going to say, I'm exactly like you. Here's how I got through it. Tapping. Great. Show me how to do it. Like the how doesn't matter. What matters is that it actually worked for you. Yeah. And that because I love you and I connect to your story, I'm going to now have more belief in the strategy that you're going to give me on how to get out as well. So if tapping helped you, then incorporate it into your content.
Yes.
If it helped you for everything, great. Put it everywhere. If it helped you only for specific problems, you just make it for those specific problems. But bringing it into your content, bring it into your coaching, whatever got you out of the hole is the thing that then you teach other people, because that's your job, is to get them out of the hole that they're in as well. And we all have different hows, right? And you don't have to use the same how for every situation, but how did you get out of the situation you were in? And now we teach that. We're thought leaders.
I love it.
Cool.
It just reminds me, somebody booked a consult with me tomorrow. And when somebody books, I ask them to just put anything that they have to say. And she said, I'm not sure about tapping, but I'm sure about you. She's been following me for a while.
Yeah.
And it really just spoke to what you were saying. She felt comfortable enough to have the consult with me to potentially work with me, but she wasn't sure about tapping.
Yeah. Like the how doesn't matter. This is why in Movement Makers, for this challenge that we're doing, when I'm rejecting everybody putting in their 4 steps to do things, or the 3 ways, or the 8, like the strategies do not matter. What matters is the connection to you. Giving me 8 strategies is not the benefit. What's the specific benefit that I'm going to get from working with you? And so that's the whole game. If you get them to know you, like you, trust you, which comes from you telling your story. If I start talking about women's weight issues, you're not a woman. You don't know me. You don't know what I'm going through, right? Like it's going to be the first, even if I have all the same strategies, they're not going to listen to me because I'm not a woman, right? And that's an obvious, hopefully you can tell that I'm not a woman. That's a pretty obvious thing. But the thing is, a lot of these things that we have struggled with are not obvious. Like knowing that you struggled. If I look at you, I don't think you struggle with food. If I look at you, I don't think you had men in your life who had gambling issues that you supported. So when you come out and say, here's how you solve it, it doesn't come across like, who is this woman who's preaching to me? Right. You're not, and this is hopefully applicable to everybody. Like you're not coming down from your high horse and preaching people and telling people what to do. You're saying, I'm just like you. I was in the same spot and I struggled with this. And here's how I overcame. But until you share that story, and I know that you've been through it and you're like me, then I'm not going to listen to you. So anyway, most things are not obvious, right? Men, women, obvious. Ethnic background, whatever, scar on your face, like super obvious. But most of the things we deal with is not obvious. And so we need to share those things and have the courage. And you honestly did it right here. It's like, I'm a little embarrassed to say this. It's great. And sharing that will only connect more people to you. Like nobody, if any, people only feel more love for you in saying that you struggled with supporting men who had gambling addictions, not, I'm not going to talk to Maria now because of that. So thank you for having the courage to share up.
Thank you, Evan. Thank you for all that you do. Thank you.
If you want to get a copy of Built to Serve and join us live for our next training with me to ask your questions, you can go get the book right there next to me, right there. I'll see you there. I'll see you to get the book. It's a good one. Much love.